Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy for all the people that have tuned in, that are tuning in right now, and that are going to tune in later. I have this beautiful lady on my screen. She's been very active in our community. The lovely Gail Peterson. I am so excited for you to be here on Next on the Mic.
Thank you.
And we're going to talk about some things that are going on in our community. I just have to tell you, Gail, that I am walking down the streets, knocking on doors, and a lot of people talk about the speeding in their community.
Mhm.
I even put this Next on the Mic on the Neighborhoods app,
Great.
and a lot of people weighed in. They were just like, "We want our streets to be safe for our kids. There needs to be something done. We have speeding in all the neighborhoods." And so you've been very proactive and active about getting in the community. So I want you to tell me first, how long you've been a resident of Frederick and what neighborhood do you reside in?
So I'm first of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for letting me be here tonight and talk. And I'm a huge fan of yours, and you're just at it. And so you're an inspiration to me. So I'm a transplant of Boston from about 27 years ago. And I live on Lee Place, which is in between Rosemont and 7th Street. And I absolutely love it here. So, and I've been in this house for about a little over 18 months now. So.
Okay. So yeah, and you have some really cute dog. There's a little dog that's
I do. Who got
yeah.
groomed today, and she looks like a poodle, but she's
I've got to get mine to the groomer. So now I have seen you in NAC meetings. And I think that that's where I first met you. And you were at NAC meeting. You had a lot of energy. You were very vocal about this. So what year did so tell us about first, everyone, her organization or her movement is called the Street Safety Gang. And so tell me, what year was it formed and why did you start this whole advocacy about safe streets in your community?
So I'm a huge walker. I love to walk. I love this neighborhood. When I first moved here from Boston 27 years ago, I rented a house at the other end, at the 7th Street side of Lee Place. And I love this neighborhood. I loved walking up and down the streets, bobbing and weaving, walking down to Baker Park. It's just a wonderful, wonderful part of the city of Frederick. When I moved back here, I just was really struck as I was out walking at how fast the cars move up and down these streets. And I would just watch and just be really, really nervous about how fast they went. There's a lot of traffic on the street, but it was the speed of the traffic, okay, that really, really concerned me. And so it was right when I first moved back here that I was really noticing it. I started, just asking a couple of neighbors, do you guys notice how fast they drive? And people would say, yeah. And, I wondered why it was posted 25. I never saw police presence on the street. I never saw any traffic being enforced. And, I started asking people about, what has happened historically, has anybody ever addressed it? There's signs on the street that it's a neighborhood watch neighborhood. And I said, who's in charge of that? And some of the longtime 40 plus year residents, two of them that I've gotten to know, told me that, that was an effort 25 years ago, but none of it was current. So I said, I just really think that this is going to be a good use of my time to just try to maybe see if there's a way to slow the traffic down on Lee Place. That was my focus.
So you said 25 years that this has been a discussion, or they have
I had neighbors telling me that so when we started so that the neighborhood street watch program. There's a couple of signs out there if you walk up and down the neighborhood. And somebody I think they had started that initiative about 25 years ago, but it just kind of felt nobody like has picked it up or done anything with it. And so when I was asking them about, and these are other like dog walkers, just, my neighbors walking around in the neighborhood. And somebody had said, yeah, 10 years ago, somebody had come around with a petition and, about the speeding. And, I heard stories about people's car getting damaged. And the gentleman across the street from me, his then 12-year-old son had been hit by a car while he was riding his bike. And I just said, I think I'm going to start. I think I'm just going to start doing something. I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do. But there was around in that time, there were two other people on the street. And it was, I had reached out to the city and I asked about, who do I talk to if I want to, I had seen one of the speed boxes go up over. I talked to the police officer that was putting it up. And she said to me, because I said, how do I get one of those on Lee Place? And she said, call the city and ask for one. I said, okay. And I said, how do I get you to, because she seemed to be like at this one spot at home in Wilson. I said, how do I get you to patrol over on Lee Place? Because, we could use you over there too.
Right.
And she said, complain. That's what she said. She said,
so you had to complain. And so how many people were complaining when you started the State Street Gang? You were one person, and how many people started coming together with you to start complaining?
So there must have been something happening. I believe that, nothing happens by itself. And I think that the timing was just right. And I just happened to be the big mouth that was willing to do it. Right.
So, and people were in COVID in their house for too long.
Yeah.
And they just wanted to get out.
So there was an initiative by the city, right? That was, they announced it. I think they announced that like in March. It came out in the Frederick News Post. And they were saying that they were, going to be looking at street and safety enforcement. Okay. Right. And they gave a number, and some of the neighbors said, we're going to call in and we're going to do that. And I say, great. So it was all around that time. And I just said, I'm going to start this petition. I'm going to get moving on it. And somebody had introduced me to Nextdoor, because I didn't know about Nextdoor, that neighborhood app. And I knew peripherally, I know my neighbors, but I didn't know anybody really personally. So we started talking and had an interest, and that's how it started. That is how it started. So,
and I think that you guys have been very vocal about the safety in Frederick. I know, let's talk about how Frederick is growing tremendously, right? And so when you go off of Rosemont, traffic is very bad. And then when you go to Christopher's Crossing, traffic is very bad. Those are two places that have been very vocal in complaining about the speeding. And if people do not, and I don't know if people know about Rosemont, if people do not want to sit in that traffic, they will go through Gale's neighborhood, get out of the traffic, and they would speed down the street, right? Yeah. So, and when I'm walking, I see them speeding. So I know, like, if you are going over 25 miles per hour, your stop time will be you won't be able to stop in time.
There's lots and lots of statistics. The city has all of that information. It's all, I mean, you can Google, what is the stop rate at 25 if a child comes up in front of you. All of that is easily Googled, right? You can get that information. It's just statistically sound to say that at 25 miles an hour, if a child gets hit, right, at 25 miles an hour, you could you could survive. Somebody could survive.
Right.
Now, if you got hit with an F-350 pickup at 25 miles an hour, you'd still have some damage done, but you could survive. Okay, so one of the issues that I found when I started digging around, talking to the police, okay, nice guys, by the way. I mean, I have huge respect. I have nothing but respect for the gentlemen that in the men and women that, serve our community. Okay. So, but I have been educated over this last 18 months. All right. And what I found out is that they won't even pull a car over. Okay. If unless they're going 12 miles an hour over the speed limit is a grace. It's a grace period. It's 12 miles an hour. So the posted speed limit on these cut through streets, okay, is 25 miles an hour. It doesn't make sense to me that Rosemont is 25 miles an hour. 7th Street is 25 miles an hour. Okay. My street and all of these other streets are 25 miles an hour. It doesn't mean anything. Okay. And when you don't stop somebody or pull them over until they're going 37 miles an hour, which on this street is deadly.
Yeah.
Well, it's not fast. It's deadly.
Okay? Yes. It's deadly. Yes.
Deadly. All right. So that, and I have witnessed, and so have my neighbors, witnessed every single day, every week, cars going in excess of that. Okay. So do most of the people driving up and down the street go 35 to 60 miles an hour? I would say no. I would say no. Okay. But they drive too fast. And if they're driving over 25, it's too fast for the street. Yeah. These streets were designed to move traffic. And that's the other thing that I've been educated on this year. Okay. It's not as simple as saying, I want the speed limit reduced. Okay. Because then you can reduce the speed limit, but if you don't enforce it, if there's not a way to enforce it, and there really isn't, okay, we don't have the resources, okay.
So when you say we don't have the resources, what do you mean by that?
You can't you can't, I'm not sure that putting a police officer on Military, Lee, Wilson, Grant, Schley, Biggs, Tawney, this 10 block thing from Fort Detrick up to the hospital, which is NAC 6 and 9. Okay. My neighborhood, NAC 6 and 9. You can't have a policeman out there 24/7, enforcing a speed limit.
So when I go to Montgomery County and all those places, you can't not have a police officer on every area, right? But correct. I have to say that Montgomery County is notorious for speed cameras. Yeah. They are notorious for it. And and that's something that I don't see a lot in Frederick, right?
And what I've come to understand, and you've helped me with this to understand it a little bit better too, is that a lot of the speed cameras that we have are, within like the mile of the school designation. I said, why can't we have speed cameras? I don't think I'm not going to say that. It's regulated by the state. The state has to regulate it. And I had a meeting with the mayor last August before the closure of the Fort Detrick gate was being proposed. And he had said to me, Gail, I would put speed cameras up if I could. If I, the mayor, could do that, I would do it. But it's the state that actually tells me what I can and can't do. And I said, well, how do we work? How do we fix that? How do we make it a local decision? And what I have learned is that there's legislation in Annapolis now that's we're keeping our fingers and toes crossed, and it's looking like that legislation has traction.
Yes.
There's our delegation, our state
Mhm.
delegation. It sounds like it's going to be a workable piece of legislation, and it will benefit our city. And
Yes.
we'll have local control over these things. So
Yes.
that's a win.
Yeah, that is a big win. And that's why I
huge
tell
win.
people, they ask me like, what can be done at the state level? So
Yeah.
when me and you talk, that's why I
Yes.
emphasize that. Like, people want things done in locally, you have to go to your delegate
Yep.
at the state level. So I'm glad that some legislation is put in place. I know I have talked to you personally about legislation and how it works, and what county it covers, what county it doesn't cover. So if it covers Frederick, definitely it's something that we want to fight for. So people that are watching or that are going to watch, make sure you're very vocal to your delegates and your senators that this is something that you want for your community. That's who you go to. The mayor can hear you, but if you don't go to the senator and your delegates, they're the ones that's going to fight for you at the state level.
And my understanding is that there's 3 seats coming up in Frederick.
Yeah.
3.
Three seats. So we got to make sure that we vote for the right
You
people.
just gotta be engaged.
You got to be engaged. Now, let's talk about those accidents. I know when we were talking about this before, Chelsea had said that one of the accidents that made the newspaper were in your neighborhood.
Yes.
That was tell me about that accident.
So it was last spring, right? So all of these things, and some of the things that we were hearing about, comments from city officials at first was, the speeding is, we know that there's a problem, but it's not too bad. And at 6:30 in the morning, there's a 2-car, almost a head-on. One car flips 6:30 in the morning, okay? And made the newspaper, made the neighborhood certainly like woke up and said, what the heck is that? Cars flipped over. I mean, that's not cars going 20 miles an hour.
No.
15 miles an hour at 6:30 in the morning. That's
Right.
distracted driving, okay? And it's speeding. So
and
that happened twice. So then later, last summer, later in the year, there was another one further up on Grant where there was property damage and a car had been totaled, and and then I don't have it at off the top of my head how many accidents have actually happened, but numerous mirrors. Cars are parked on both sides of these streets.
Yes,
Streets are about 32 feet wide. Okay, you got 2 vehicles on either street. On either side of the street, you got 2 cars coming down the middle, and if neither one of them, it's almost like they're playing chicken sometimes. If they don't stop, they're
and you know what I've found is that nothing against Frederick drivers, but when you have lived in a big city, you know how to drive in a small space, right? And so I have realized that in Frederick City, the commute in the neighborhoods, cars are parked on the street, but they will come all the way over, and like they need so much space, and that's how accidents happen, because they're coming way too far over, and you don't need to come over that far. It's enough room for 2 cars to fit through and cars to be parked. It's just that people are they don't know, being in a small town like Frederick, they don't realize that, right?
And one of the things too is that there's no striping.
There's no striping. Nope.
So you got almost a half mile from end to end, almost a half mile of straightaway. Okay, that in and of itself, when the streets were designed, and it's a design problem that we have to deal with.
Correct.
Okay? So it's retrofitting these things, which is a difficult ask. Okay, but
it's not difficult, Gail. It's not difficult.
Well, it's not difficult. Okay, I believe you. You're going to make it happen. So, You would think it's difficult, but I've asked these people. I said, "You guys are the engineers. You're supposed to be smarter
It's
than
not
me.
difficult to
You're
put
supposed to
lines in the street. It's not difficult.
Oh, lines,
Yeah.
lines, a simple line in the street creates it's a perception thing for a driver, okay? That there's two lanes and
Yes.
it creates a slower perception. You have to drive slower.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've been told that there's going to be money in our budget because we got a budget happening, budget process is happening right now. And people are asking me as they're out walking their dogs now, it's a nice spring night. People are saying, Gail, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
It's the budgeting process.
It's the budgeting process.
We've planted some seeds. We're continuing to talk to the city officials. I think we've made some good inroads with people. There is an appetite in the Board of Aldermen, okay, this year to actually find some solutions, some real solutions to calming the traffic.
Yeah.
It's been suggested to me that we broaden our base. Not so, at first when I started, I was thinking it was going to be Lee Place, and I said,
no, it's a lot.
Attention. This has got to be a wider thing.
Right.
And if you were here, I don't know if I had my war room all set up. I had Alan Etzler from the city. I asked him to send me a map, a NAC map. And I went to Kinko's and I had that thing printed in big architectural thing. And I had it taped to my countertop. And, when we had our signs and petitions signed, I put a green, it was done. It was green. So and I had that NAC from NAC 6 and 9 is what I primarily worked on last summer. It's bigger. It's the whole city.
It is the whole city. And that's why I want to tell you that.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that people from Christopher Crossing will watch this.
Yes.
Because I have to tell you guys that when I was walking in your neighborhood, I put a door hanger on your door.
Yes.
And I was like, who is this lady where are these signs coming from? And there were a box of signs sitting on your porch.
Yes.
And so I have to let you know personally that those signs have made me slow down in your neighborhood. Because I go 25 miles, because they're big yellow signs and they're in everybody's yard. So people be like, oh, the signs are irritating. But when you see them continuously, you start to slow down. So when I talk about slow down, what speed limit do you think that because Montgomery County dropped it down that it should be 15. What speed limit do you think it should be in neighborhoods?
So I hesitate personally. I'm going to say if it was an enforceable 20, I do think that it would be at 20 miles an hour on these streets with some street, some adaptation to the street to make it slower, just without reducing the speed limit. But, some new signage, some new striping. There's a bunch of different ideas, but these are things that can happen immediately. Okay.
Right.
So I want to talk about the signs for half a second. Okay.
Yep. We're going to talk about those signs because that was my next question. So we're talking about those signs.
So I was noticing that, a bunch of people on my street had the little red ones that say, drive like your kids play here.
Yes.
Your child at play. And and they're about this big, right? Yeah. And we got cars lining the street. Nobody sees those little signs.
Nobody sees them.
Walking their dogs. They see the signs.
Like you'll get in a car accident and just reading the signs. Just like, what?
Right. So when I was walking, I said, damn, I gotta make big signs. I need to make big signs. I had talked to a friend in Newmarket that has some experience changing the attitudes of some of the things that have happened in traffic over there. And they had posted a bunch of stuff like on telephone poles, but we don't have a ton of telephone poles over here. So I said, I'm going to make these big ass signs, excuse my language. I'm going to make big signs. And they're not standard signs. They're, 12 by 18s. They're oversized ones. And I just put on them what I wanted to. I put 2 different things on them. And I said, you want a street sign? I just went up and down. I collected signatures. I had, there was four or five women that helped me, for women and a couple of guys that helped distribute, get signatures. We plastered it all over next door. And, our neighborhood and other neighborhoods, okay, because people would say, hey, I'm over on Baker Park, and I wasn't collecting signatures on the petition at that point. And I'd say, come take a sign. They're on my front porch. Come get one. I want them out there. And then I have heard, the signs, they cheapen the street. They make people think that, it cheapens the property value. I'm like, no way. It does not do that. You know what it does? It showed solidarity between, that's my opinion, solidarity between all of these neighborhoods, all of these streets, all of these people that said, we care about what's happening on our street, and we need a solution to this issue. We need a solution. So the streets are a symptom. They're not a cure, okay? They're a call to action. They're a call for my attention. So they got your attention, right?
They did. You did the right size.
They made you slow down for
It made me slow down. It did. It really did. And it's the color, the color, the size. And I think that was genius that you did it that way. And so how many signs have you given out? Do you know? So
there was 300 signs distributed last year.
Okay? Wow.
The winter, they were up for a good part of the winter, and the winter, something has happened to a bunch of the signs. They've disappeared. Doesn't matter. I've got 300 more signs in my garage. They're on my front porch. It's time to start putting them out. And I don't care where you live. You want a sign? I'm at 507 Lee Place. You just drop me an email and tell me you're coming, and the sign will be out there for you, because the more the merrier. And again, I want to tell you, the thing that's really hugely important to me is that when we take personal responsibility, okay, because we're in a culture right now that many people just believe that it's somebody else that's the problem, okay? And I heard that a lot. When I was talking to people last year, that it was the people on Fort Detrick that, that don't live here, that are driving through the neighborhoods like crazy people, blah, blah, blah. I say, okay, maybe a little bit. Okay.
And what did you do? What did you do for your advocacy? What happened with Fort Detrick?
Okay. So
because I want people to understand how powerful advocacy is.
It was a perfect storm. Lots of people in play. Okay. But because I just believe that because, one person said, no, we got to change this. Somebody else said, no, we got to change this. They wanted to close this gate. Okay. Which would have they wanted to close the gate on, Rosemont.
Yes.
Okay, which was designed to handle the traffic.
It was, yes.
Okay. And they wanted to open this one, which apparently is a very convenient gate. So, yes. And, I also know that it has to be a win-win for everybody. Okay. So I don't celebrate somebody else's distress. I don't think that's how you win. Okay. So we're all getting something, right?
Right.
So we didn't want this gate to be opened all the time because it would have done. Okay. So we met with the mayor. We said, respectfully, Mayor O'Connor, what are you going to do? You're going to have police presence to take care of the traffic moving through here, because it's just too much, blah, blah, blah. We had been told that the commander person over there had made up his mind. He was going to do what he wanted to do. There was no changing his mind. I was in Nashville, Tennessee at 6:30 in the morning. I got a phone call, and my friend that had been helping me said, I have it on a good authority that the commander has changed his mind. He's not going to do that gate. That was a small part of, we helped with that. the people on Fort Detrick, the residents, they gathered together. Okay. So when you haven't engaged, when people had just kept telling me, Gail, nothing's going to change, not going to change. I said, no, I don't believe that. I just don't believe that. You just got to keep going. So you just got to keep going. And I just want it to be positive, and I want it to be benefit. I want it to benefit everybody, you know?
So what you do not know, Gail, is that I live on Fort Detrick. Oh. So you did not know that. And I was a military spouse for 13 years.
Yeah.
And so for you to get the garrison command,
that's what you call them. Yes. The garrison command.
Close that gate. That was amazing, because I was like, who's the person that did this? Like, because that gate would hold up a lot of traffic, right?
Sure.
So now, like you said, the Rosemont gate, so that gate closes like at 2:00. And then the Rosemont and the Opossum gate stays open.
Yeah.
So, but the Rosemont gate is closed at 6. So now they have traffic lines way at the back to go out of Rosemont.
You know, and again, I
it doesn't matter though. It's like, I don't think Frederick was infrastructurally built for big. Lots of people, right?
Well, that's a whole other program with a whole bunch of other people. But you know, there's definitely, again, I'm just getting educated more and more and more, and I love it. I love seeing how things come together. But yeah, I think that just
advocacy is so huge.
Advocacy is a big deal.
Exactly. And I mean, Gail, you have mastered it. You've only been here for 18 months and you have made huge change, because I tell you, I'm going to make sure that when people watch this, that they know where to get those 300 signs from. So we're going to get rid of those 300 signs until we get our speed bumps, until we get our speed cameras, until we get the lines in the street, until we get this, like, all those things need to happen to slow down traffic.
You just have to stay engaged. That's the biggest thing. And be mindful yourself of what you're doing. Because, you know, I left my driveway this morning and I was late for an appointment. And I looked at my speedometer, I was doing 32. And I said, you know, we have to be, that's a huge thing for me. You know, I have to be doing walking the talk, right? So
huge. And have you been able to get the yellow signs outside of your community, like into other communities? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I've seen your signs in other communities.
So there was a lot of people that reached out to us last summer from Clover Hill. Okay. I gave them signs. They put signs up, but there's HOAs in there. And if you don't have so if somebody from a community that has an HOA, I would tell you to go talk to your board. Right? Bring it to the board meeting, bring it to the homeowners association meeting and say, look, there's an advocacy going on. We can create some positive changes, but we have to do it together. And I want permission from the HOA to start putting out some of these signs. So, I mean, you can ask, you just have to cooperate. People around Baker Park, there's there's a lot of people asking.
What now? The legislation is now in session. Annapolis is in session. We have new aldermen. We have Mayor O'Connor again as our mayor again. And we have elections coming up.
Yep.
So election dates have changed. And it is no longer June 28th. I want to make sure that I say it right. I think it's July 19th. And I want to say, what do you want to see happen by the end of this year?
Well, okay, I'll go smaller. When the budget comes out, I want to see money in the budget for street calming. That's the first thing. And then, then we got to implement some things. So I'm still depending very much on the city planners, okay, DPW and the mayor to to continue to tell us what they're. I want them to be willing to do something. Okay, they've told us that. I'm not going to say it that way.
People are watching.
I am an optimistic human being, okay? And I am passionate that I'm going to stick to this. I gave myself 5 years, okay? I really do want to see, it'll say a lot to me when I see the budget.
Right. And when does the budget come out? When does the budget come out? Did they tell you when the budget comes out?
No, I should know that, but I don't.
But we'll look into it later and see when the budget comes out, because that's important. That's about accountability, right?
Yeah.
Like making sure that only way you're going to hold them accountable is to, like, when that budget comes out, you just be like, listen, this is what you said. This is what you said. And how long is it going to take?
I do think that there's, like I said earlier, there is an appetite on this board of aldermen. Every one of them that I've spoken to, and I have spoken to them, are saying yes. This is part of what, safer, slower streets. That's you had asked me before what the mission of the Street Safety Gang is, and it's very simple: safer, slower streets.
Yeah.
How do you make that happen? Safer, slower streets. Okay. So, what's good in my neighborhood isn't necessarily going to be good in Clover Hill, right?
But it is.
Right. But there's different solutions. There's different things. So I've been told that, they really are looking at things, and I believe them. I believe when Mayor O'Connor shook my hand last September and looked me in the eye and said, I really want to make this happen. I believe that he is sincere in that. The budget, okay, I'm a businesswoman too. Show me the money.
Yeah.
The numbers don't lie. Put money in the budget so that we can start working on real strategy and implementation of street calming. We'll figure out what the details are. You guys in the state, right?
Yeah.
You guys in the state make it easier for our mayor to make good decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, about how we can use some of the stuff from, the speed cameras and stuff like that. So, but the public, okay, me, my neighbors, your neighbors, we have to stay engaged. And so many smart people and passionate people have worked on these issues before and have felt so not heard, okay, and not valued and not heard for their contributions to the city. And I think that has to change. So I think that there's, and you don't do that by screaming and yelling. At least that's not how I want to do it.
Right.
I don't want to be noise in the room. I want to know how I can help you. How can I help you make something happen? Zig Ziglar said, in order to get what you want, you
gotta give them what they want. Yep. Gotta give them what they want.
So that's it.
So I want people to understand that if you want to sign, the summer is coming. A lot of people are going to be out.
I want them out now.
And spring, people are going to go out in the streets.
Yep.
And they're going to be driving and they're going to be speeding. So if
they already are. They're 2 weekends ago. They were out there going nuts.
Right. So if you want some of these signs, you're going to email that young lady, Gail Peterson, at Street Safety Gang, Frederick, Maryland, at Gmail. And please, 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 she will make sure she get the signs to you because she has them everywhere.
Yeah.
And she is very passionate about this and getting people safe, slower streets. And that is important to her.
Yeah.
And I believe the mayor is definitely listening. We have some great aldermen that are now, they're definitely listening and they definitely want change because we all care about our community.
Yeah.
And Gail is correct. If you want things done at the state level, you have to vote. You have to get out there. And this year is about I really truly feel like we have some candidates that care about our community. And across from county council to state delegate to Senate, we have people that really care about our community, and we want change in the community. And that's who you need to start voting for. You want your community change, you got to vote for people that want that change. I know I'm one of those people that want that will fight for that change. So July 19th, if you want things done where the mayor can't get it done at the state level, vote for the right people to get done at the state level, right? And if we have not had this happening, 25 years, right? And now after 25 years, you're just now doing something like, and you're making traction, right? So that means that the people that we had in office really weren't that aggressive. So we have to make change because we want people to come out in the streets. We want kids to play out in the streets. So we've got to we got to all work together. And Gail, I'm so happy that you are the one that's doing it because you're amazing, right? And I just want you to keep fighting, keep advocating, keep being present and holding them accountable, because that's what we elect them to do. We elect them to be accountable and serve our community. And that's why we elect people to serve us, not, them serving themselves.
And I think that it's really important for people to know that their voice does count. You just you can make a difference. You can make a difference. So
yes, you can. So it's in the budget. You want a sign, please get the sign from this young lady, Gail Peterson. Email her. And Gail, I wish you the best. It's going to be nice weather. And you're going to, did you go to St. Patrick's? Did you get some corned beef and cabbage? Is that what it is? I don't know. I don't eat meat, so.
Corned beef and cabbage is not my thing, unless it's a Reuben. I like.
Okay, did you get a Reuben sandwich today?
No, I didn't.
Oh, well, you still have time. So it's just like, you might want to get down to Frederick and downtown before it gets a little crazy. So or however. So thank you so much, Gail.
I appreciate the opportunity,
and I appreciate you being on my show. And I'm pretty sure that you're going to get some emails about those signs.
And then you can find us on Facebook. I stink at having.
Do you want to put the Facebook information in there? Would you like to put?
I can't talk and think.
How about I do it for you?
You do it for me.
I will do it for you. Yes.
Yeah. So I need people to do things for me.
I'm gonna do it for you because I do this all the time.
You're good.
Yeah, I do this all the time. So it's very easy for me.
But I'll tell you, if anybody wants to talk further, wants any information, email me there. I promise I'll get back to you. I can hook you up. If you want to be part of our team, there's about 4 or 5 people that are working hard to help distribute signs and, keep things going. Then feel free, please, to email me.
Yeah. So you have the group and page?
Yep. Facebook group. We're on Nextdoor. There's a group on Nextdoor.
There we go. That's the one I want. I think this is you right here.
I hope so.
It is. I will put it up there right now. There you go.
Awesome.
So that is the Facebook page, and anybody that wants to go on Facebook, I'll leave it up there for another 2 minutes, and you can Google her. Google Miss Gail Peters, or just Google her. I'm pretty sure if you Google her. That's what I tell people. I be like, just Google me.
So I'm around. People know how to get me.
They know how to get to you. And so like I said, you just go on, what is it, Lee Street? Is it Lee Street?
Place.
Lee Place. And you'll see that. And she has them on her porch. I'm pretty sure.
They're on my porch.
They're on the porch. So thank you, Gail. You have a great night. God bless you. And just keep doing what you do.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.